Hey, this is me again. Another DIY live rock video. I have a couple videos already on some parts, but again, the idea is that we are creating this Lost City of Atlantis theme with columns and blocks, kind of for stacking, out of the DIY live rock mix that mine's a little different, but that people are using online. I think there's several tutorials, but this time I'm going to show you how to make the rock, and so the blocks, you know, for like the old walls and stuff that you can kind of arrange in many different patterns, so that you can have plenty of structure for corals to set on, fish to swim through, and yet it still functions as a piece of live rock with all the porousness and stuff to hold water and bacteria. So, and actually, I've said this in some other videos, but when I brought this stuff in out of my holding tank, it sat here for like 15 minutes before I started making these videos, and I could still hear water popping inside of it, like almost like a little trickling water sound. And so it does seem to hold water and have a lot of little chambers inside, so that's great. The mixture I use is for the rock, I use 4 parts crushed oyster shells, 2 parts white Portland cement, and 2 parts salt. So I made this mold. Actually, there's probably in the last cycle that I'll be able to use these orange juice containers, but one of these already has a little bit of mixture in there. When I made my last column, I used leftovers, but essentially it's just orange juice containers with a very, very top cut off. They seem like perfect size for my 75-gallon aquarium. And I made this little block frame just to hold several of them kind of tight, and I've just wedged these little pieces in alongside because they stack better if they're a little concave, so that you don't want it to be welled out round this way, because then they'll wobble. And so with it concave, it leaves a little bit of space on the center here, so that the blocks will stack better and kind of set better and be more stable. So that's kind of what this is. And so these things just pull out, you know, when I'm ready to take the mold out, and then I just kind of loosen up the orange juice container and pull that out. Well, there's the mold. So we're going to start off here. I need to dry out my bucket just a little bit. My Portland cement's going to stick all over the place. I got to put it in first, but so 2 parts white Portland cement. I'm going to put 1 part in, then I'm going to go ahead and put in my oyster shell. 1, 2, 3, almost 4. That was okay. That's enough for 4. Here's my other portion of white Portland cement. Make a big mixture that time. And I've tried just a little bit of different degrees of the cement mixture. You see my trowel, so I guess I'm going to be mixing this. Oh, there it is, by hand. But essentially, initially, you want to mix this up so that the white Portland cement's on everything. The 3-2-1 mixture that a lot of people use, for whatever reason, it seemed like my rocks were a little too brittle when I used that. And so I ended up going with a little beefier. Sometimes I don't do 2, sometimes I do like 4 parts to 1.5, you know, but it seems like the 1 to 2 seems to work pretty good, or 4 to 2, I guess you'd say. But for the amount of mixture I'm mixing up. So once I get this mixed up, we're just going to start adding some water. And again, you don't want to get this too wet, so you kind of have to add water slow. Get some of this off the side here. So that might actually be too much water, but we'll see. Been pretty lucky so far today making videos. I've not added too much of anything. I had to start over, so. But you see this down in here? Alright. want it to be kind of have some body to it. Just going to stir this up a little bit more. You might get a little bit closer, but you can see it kind of holds its shape here a little bit. There's some, it's not just super runny. And just get everything mixed up real good. Make sure you get all the Portland cement off the bottom. Alright, so now we're going to add our 2 parts salt. I'm using Dixie Crystals, which is water softener salt. Like $5 for a great big bag. I made a ton of rock before I started making all this stuff, so it goes pretty good. The one comment I'll make, so 2 parts salt, is that it's kind of hard to find white Portland cement, at least in my area. You can find gray at Home Depot and Lowe's, but it just doesn't make a pretty rock. And so I had to try several brick supply companies and stuff, and just kept calling around and finally found one. You know, it's a little bit expensive, but I've made all this rock plus a lot, probably this much more outside, and I've still just got used one bag of that, and I just finished up my second bag of crushed oyster shells from the Tractor Supply, which is about, you know, $5 for that, so it's inexpensive. And so here we go. So we got our salt mixture. I'm going to get a little extra salt so I can add some defects to the rock as we go along. And we're just going to start putting this in there. So I usually just use my hand. I just drop it down in there as we go. You can see the little salt chunks and stuff in there. Just kind of sprinkle. Every so often I'll kind of tuck it into a corner a little bit to give it a little bit better shape. I try not to manipulate this as much as I do the actual columns, because I want them to be a little bit more sturdy, a little more porous. So I'm going to put a little salt in here for a defect in the side of the rock there. And then just keep pouring. Like I say, all this salt melts off during the curing process. And this is not like curing real live rock, it's just curing to get the pH of the rock right. It tends to so try not to do too much there. I just want to just kind of get that down in there. So just kind of smooth this off here, get the top little edge. And there we go. So now we're going to keep filling up these spots. Put another little defect over here. Good size defect there. And then just putting the salt in there is what gives it those cracks and stuff in the block. Just gives more spaces for little creatures to hide and water flow to get, and just makes it look more like it's something that you'd really see on the bottom of the ocean in some lost world. And so, and I don't think I quite have enough mix here to do the last one, but we'll put a little bit more on top of this one here. Similar concept to what, let's go ahead and leave that little corner out there, because that just adds a little bit more of a notch to it. And yeah, both ways. I did punch a hole in the bottom of these orange juice containers just to let some excess water run out. But I really, before I did that, it did just fine before that. I just didn't know if it would help any to have a little bit of moisture come out of it. But I think so far it's doing just fine either way. So again, I'm just going to kind of leave that one with a little hole there. And so just anything to add some design to it. But thanks again. I'll good example of what this looks like one more time is This will kind of be what they look like when they come out. The ones with the defects will look like this. If you want to see the columns, you know, there's another video for those. Alright, thank you.